So what do we do about all of these different versions of Christianity, all these different interpretations, all this other good stuff? So this is actually a pretty decent question, which is why I chose to address it. Do you realize how inconsistent your argument sounds? Even most Christians don't agree on a lot of things in the Bible. There are over 1,000 versions of Christianity. All of that stuff is good and great. But here's the thing. A lot of these secondary, tertiary issues, yes, there is disagreement within Christianity on those things. Okay, great. But what matters is this. Did Jesus live? Yes, there is indisputable evidence that he lived as a historical person. What did he die? Yes, he was crucified by Roman crucifixion. We have historical sources outside the Bible that tell us that. All right. Was he buried? Yes. Was he resurrected? That's the only question that matters. That is what our faith is founded upon. Our faith is not founded upon speaking in tongues, what you believe about Adam and Eve and how they had children and where all this stuff came from. We can argue that stuff till the cows come home. And none of that stuff really matters. None of that stuff is what's going to get you to heaven. What you believe about tongues and spiritual gifts and all of this other good stuff, all of that stuff it doesn't matter. All right. And none of that stuff is going to get you into or keep you out of heaven and having a relationship with Jesus. What matters is, was Jesus resurrected? And you know what people on my timeline never discuss? That subject. Because if you start to talk about was Jesus resurrected, now you have to explain the empty tomb. I made a video yesterday, not one comment about what happened to Jesus' body. Where's his body, bro? Where is his body? If we know he lived and we know he died and we know where he was buried, we know that he was under the Roman guard, under the Roman guards, Roman centurions were watching him. We know there was a big 2,000-pound stone right in front of the tomb. Where is his body? That's what I want to talk about. Because if you can explain where Jesus's body is, then I'll stop becoming a Christian today. If you can explain why Paul all of a sudden turned from persecutor to becoming a preacher, why James all of a sudden was not even a Christian, then he becomes a bishop in the Lord's church, why the disciples went from being scared people who abandoned Jesus, and John was the only one at the crucifixion and they didn't even believe. You can explain why they all of a sudden become so transformed that they literally are martyred for their faith. Well, then you can explain why the women were reported to be the first women at the tomb, when if you want to make up a story, again, you don't send women to the tomb. You don't make them central figures in the story of the resurrection. His body wasn't stolen. We know that. The Roman centurions aren't going to lie and allow his body to be stolen, because the punishment for that was death. So where is his body? That's what matters with Christianity. That's what's going to get us into heaven, is whether you believe that Jesus Christ is God in the flesh and that he lived, he died, he was buried, and he was resurrected. All that other good stuff, y'all can argue that stuff all day. This is what I want to talk about. So I'm asking you, where's his body? Why is it that in 2,000 years, I really want to know why in 2,000 years, not one plausible explanation that people could actually believe has been offered as to what happened to his body. Paul was an educated man, clearly educated. What would explain him just leaving everything in Judaism when he was top tier? He was a rabbi. He was part of the Sanhedrin. He was part of the not the Sadducees, but the Pharisees. He had a lot to lose. Why would he abandon all of that in order to become a Christian and believe in the resurrection and lose his life and be beheaded for it? The only thing that explains all of that is these people actually saw the resurrected Christ. Explain why in the little Jerusalem, all of this stuff, he's the most famous person and the most well-known person in there, and his body goes missing the exact day that he said he was going to be resurrected. Then the Nazareth inscription comes in and says, oh, now it's a capital crime to remove bodies from the tomb or to mess with the tomb. And that's just coincidence. Where is his body, bro? That's what I want to talk about. So y'all can focus on these secondary issues. You can major in the minor. I'm going to major in the one thing that really matters when it comes to Christianity. Talk to me about that, and then we can have a conversation. But if you want to talk about angels and Nephilim and all this other good stuff and translations and manuscripts, we can talk about all of that after you explain to me the one thing that matters. Where's his body? Talk to me about that, and then we can have a conversation. Blessings. People are always asking me, hey, I want to become an apologist. Hey, I want to learn how to defend my faith better. Hey, I want to learn all this other good stuff. Where should I start? Start with the resurrection. Go get you any book by Gary Habermas. He is the world's leading expert on the resurrection. He just released 2 incredible volumes with all of the evidence for the resurrection. If you want to learn how to defend your faith, if you want to understand your faith, before even considering becoming a Christian, the one thing that you need to study is the resurrection of Jesus Christ, because that's the only thing that matters. Because if Jesus Christ is not resurrected, as Paul said in Corinthians, all of our faith is in vain. That's what matters. So if you want to learn anything, if you are a Christian, you need to know the evidence of the resurrection. If you don't, go to my website. I got an entire PowerPoint on all of the proof of the resurrection, all of the sources for the resurrection. I also have on there looking at all of the different theories of what happened to Jesus's body, that the disciples took it, that they went to the wrong tomb, that his body was stolen, that people hallucinated, that come up with the craziest stuff, the swoon theory, all of this other good stuff. If you are a Christian, the one thing that you need to learn above everything else is the foundation of our faith, and that is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Don't be worrying about Hebrew Israelites and all this other good stuff if you can't explain why you believe that a man died and was resurrected 3 days later. Go get any book by Gary Habermas and it will help you. All right. Love y'all. Everybody have a wonderful day. God bless.